Welcome to the Just a Breezy Chat podcast. My name is Breezy, and if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell, um, ring that bell for notifications, and please subscribe. Help a girl out. I do have a merch shop that you can go check out as well. It is called the Breezyville Merch. You can check that out. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook for any updates on my channel or podcast. With that being said, why don't we dive into the first episode of season 3? Can you believe we're already on season 3? I mean, I know it's a small podcast, but to me, this is a victory right here. I'm already on season 4 of my True Crime Lounge podcast. I started my third episode of my Sassy Southern Belle podcast is out, so it's like, even though it's small, I'm enjoying doing this. Like, honestly, I don't really care, like, don't really care about the size. I just really enjoy, I'm just doing what I love. Isn't that all that matters at the end of the day? Um, After all the hell I've been through, I think I deserve to be like, okay, just do what you love, everything else will work into place. But I'm also a hard worker too, so that kind of contradicts that. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. So I have created my online advocacy program with Turtle Idol. I have some videos out, some webisodes out on that channel if you want to go check that out as well. So last season we talked about my from elementary school to high school. This season I want to talk about my experience at Wallace. From taking a gap year to starting Wallace. So we can understand like a little bit. Like I feel more like a. I always say I'm a closed book, but then I turn into an open book. Like when I talk about this stuff, because for the longest time I was not ready to talk about anything of this because you gotta remember something. I grew up in a household where you didn't talk about your problems. You didn't talk about what was going on with you. You just smiled, swallowed it up, and I'm learning that that's not healthy for you. And everything. But I do want to say if I could start a happy Memorial Day out there, y'all. Please remember please remember why we have this holiday. I know that a lot of people look at it as a barbecue holiday, a day off of work and every day or school. But just enjoy it, be safe, and remember the judge won't be back in until tomorrow. So don't do anything stupid, shall we? Um, but yeah. So I knew like when I was a senior that I was gonna take a gap year. I even like had teachers tell me, "Oh, you did that, you won't go back to school," and I would say that is a lie because I had that mindset that I needed that gap year. After spending 13 years in high school, I needed a year off because I knew by jumping in to college like that August after that I would never go back. I would do one semester and never go back. I was so burnt out from high school. And I think that's really something like people need to take a gap year. It's like it gives them a chance to understand like, do I want to go to college? Is this what's right for me? Can I help? So, for me, a gap year was the best decision I ever made, honestly. But it was like so 3 days after I graduated high school, I moved in with the toxic cousin. So And then 3 months after, it was right around Memorial Day, ironically, that I'm talking about this was I got out of Demopolis and I moved to North Alabama. It was the bravest thing and scariest thing I ever did. I didn't know anybody but the few family members that I was living with at the time. We'll get into that a little bit later. But, yeah. I knew I was coming back to Demopolis because I still had some family there. And I knew I wanted to go back, so my original thing was like, I'm gonna come back to the homecoming games every year. Never happened. But I will say I went to the first Christmas on the River since moving out. And it was when I was ironically starting Wallace that I was having grooming from a family member that I trust starting to happen. Um, it's crazy though. Like, at the time, I didn't understand it, because I was in a very dark place in my life, and I thought that was normal. And you gotta understand when grooming like that happens, you're not like when you're young, fresh out of high school, you're not even given the chance to really understand what it's like to fully be an adult. And yeah, but I started to get groomed by a family member, um, which I felt ashamed of. I wrote about it in my journal that I lost that journal now, but I was so scared to tell that person that please stop because that person was being so nice to me, and I didn't want to risk not doing that person being mean to me because I asked that person to stop. But yeah, it's not an easy thing at all. But yeah. But then I would go to the first Christmas on the river, and honestly, went back and I felt like a stranger. Does that sound sad to say, strange? But it's like, I don't know. I think it's because I lived in Demopolis when I was in the fifth grade and went to West Side only for a week in the first grade. Um, Long story short, behind that one, not gonna get into it. But yeah. So I don't know. It's just like I felt like a stranger. I had my best friend there, and eventually I would have my nephew there, who I love with all my heart. And but I also have my firstborn, my goddaughter there, who is also my niece. There's a special bond between you and that firstborn niece and nephew. I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, but North Alabama, like looking back, I'll go into further detail, but like overall, it gave me like the courage to make a move to Tennessee. I've been wanting to live in Tennessee for a while, and I knew I couldn't do that 8, 9 years ago. But when I moved 9 years ago, I knew this was the best decision for me. I also just revealed my age, which is scary. But yeah, but that's it. I will see y'all on the next episode. Y'all have a great day.